You know what I don't get? How the president of the United States has a two-term limit, right, of 8 years, but the same rules don't apply for Congress. For those of you who remember the movie The Dark Knight, there's a character named Harvey Dent. He's a politician, and he says, quote, "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain." There is a lot of truth to that. Let's look at Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City. I mean, most New Yorkers loved Bloomberg. He kept the city clean and safe, but then he forced himself into a third term. Now, that didn't sit well with most people. Some people got freaked out. And it's like, well, if he found loopholes into doing something like that, how do we ever stop him from ever potentially crossing the line? But okay, all of us got over it. He served his third term. Everybody kind of forgot about it, and life goes on. I just want to say that I'm happy that presidents have term limits. No matter if you're like the best president or the worst president, it doesn't matter. 8 years and you're out of there. And I feel like this is what makes our country so great and functional for the most part. Yeah, we always have room to improve, of course. But can you imagine somebody like George W. Bush as president for more than 8 years? I wouldn't be a fan of that, right? He took us to two unnecessary wars, misinforming us that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. We lost thousands of US troops, thousands of American lives. We lost trillions of dollars. We destabilized the Middle East. Can you imagine having George W. Bush as our president for more than 8 years? You see, with dictatorships, you have the same old person running things, and people evolve, their priorities change. Even if they were pure coming in, inevitably they'd lose themselves for staying in power for too long. We've all seen it happen. We always need new, fresh people coming in with new, fresh ideas. How are we ever expected to progress as a society if we always rely on outdated ideology? One of the reasons why Alessio Ocasio-Cortez pulled such an upset victory over a powerful Democrat like Joe Crowley is because he felt way too comfortable. He was in power for so long, he didn't take it seriously. He didn't even show up to the debates. He had somebody weak represent him. And he treated this election as a joke, and it's not a joke, and in result, this is why he lost. Again, we must have term limits for Congress because it A, limits corruption, B, they're not supposed to treat it like a career. They're supposed to serve for noble reasons. They're supposed to serve the people. And I cannot stress enough, we do need new, fresh ideas. Now, people do counter and say that this is undemocratic. You should have somebody represent your district for as long as they can, if that's what the people want, especially if there's not that many great options out there. And they also talk about experience and how effective that can be. And it's true, right? The longer you do something, the better you get at it. And why take a chance of, taking away honest and great politicians for somebody who's potentially not great and dishonest? Those are all excellent points, but then again, I could make the same argument for the United States of America. Let's talk about Mayor Bloomberg again, okay? Now, most of us are not happy with Mayor de Blasio, and we're thinking like we'd be better off just bringing Mayor Bloomberg back or Mayor Giuliani back. But again, for the reasons that I've already mentioned, that would do more harm than good. It's counterproductive. What I propose for Congress are 4 term limits in a total of 8 years.